Okay, good morning, everybody. This is my fourth take. Okay, so this morning I'm going to talk about 3 ways to embrace your creativity and family. Sometimes it might seem impossible. You might have a full-time job, be a full-time parent, be a caregiver. Maybe you work part-time from home. Maybe you have children, or maybe you have a family member that you take care of on a regular basis, like your parents or a sibling, or an adult child that needs extra help. Maybe you yourself have an illness, or there's something that is just taking up a lot of your time. Or maybe you have several jobs. Many people today have 2 or 3 different jobs, and they're balancing family. Some people are balancing schoolwork as well. Balancing creativity, making art, music, film, writing, or whatever your creative pursuit is, it's a little easier when you're a full-time student in college, or, even a child, a teenager, because sometimes, you have that time where you can say, okay, do I want to hang out with my friends and do homework or whatever, or should I spend 6 hours working on whatever project? So if you are a teenager and you're listening to this, take advantage of your time now. If you're in college, take advantage of your time. I spent nearly every Friday night, in the studio, mixing down music, or, making films or whatever I was doing, instead of, wasting the weekend away. And that helped me a lot in my career. So here are 3 ways to prioritize your life. Prioritize your life is the first way. Number 2, you need to strategize your plan. And number 3, you need to economize your time. First off, prioritize your life. Obviously, you're going to have different things that you have to do. You have to go to work. You have to take care of your family. You have to take care of yourself, even though, like, right now, I'm not a great example. I should be napping right now while my kid is napping. But instead, I thought I'd write the video for you guys instead. And then you have your pursuits. Now, if you're fortunate enough that your full-time job is also your artistic pursuit, then I applaud you. And some of us have the opportunity to teach, but let's say in an environment that also allows for creativity. For example, for many years, I worked at an art museum, and it was great because I got to be creative on a regular basis. I got to enjoy, teaching music and, creating new musical projects. I got to do a little bit of film, and I got to do some art, visual art. And it was a great creative experience for me overall. And it was my job. So it was great. Now I work primarily from home. Just a decision we decided to make because right now we have young children, and I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but I also wanted to continue my artistic pursuits. So you need to prioritize your life. Like I said, if you happen to have, your full-time job is your passion, then go for it. Some of us, our full-time jobs are kind of a combination of our passion and something that is pretty much work. So I might get a chance to engage in creative pursuits, but they wouldn't be the creative pursuits that I would want to do on my individual basis. So for example, maybe I do a project for a client. It's a creative animation or music project or film project. It's a writing project. So I enjoy it because it's in my field. However, on the side, I'm working on short films. I'm working on writing my 3rd novel in the Libertaria Chronicle series. And those are the 2 main things I'm working on now. And I'm also trying to get funding for possibly a new opera. So those are the things I'm doing on the side. And then, my job and stuff, is, teach, I write, I do projects for clients, and those are creative, but in their own way. So prioritize your life, figure out what you have to do the most, and then try to figure out, strategize your plan. What you're going to do is say, okay, maybe I can't work on these 10 different projects, but I can use one. And then I'm going to carve out the time I need to do that one. And sometimes you have to really think it through. Because for instance, for me, I'm a composer primarily. However, for me to write a song takes months sometimes. And even if it doesn't take months, it takes many hours in a day, even if it only takes several weeks. I don't have that time right now. I have a newborn. I'm barely getting any sleep. I'm lucky if I can get a meal in. So, because of that, I've decided to put some of my composition on hold, especially the more serious composition. I'm in the pre-planning stages for an opera, but I don't plan to actually write music for the opera until next year. Right now, I'm working on the libretto. I'm trying to see if I can get grant funding for it. I'm working on the story. And so I'm working on elements of the opera that can be worked on that do not involve me actually having to write notes down. And while, like I said, I would love to work on the opera now, I just don't have time to compose. And when I say compose, I don't just mean mixing down something, because that's actually pretty easy for me. I can mix something down in a few hours and it sounds great. It's more sitting down with the nitty gritty, with sketch paper and on my piano, and just, writing notes down, physically down, and then figuring out motifs and melodies and all those kind of things. And then transferring that to a program where, it's all written out for me. And then taking that and possibly having to mix down at least a temp track for it, for singers. So it's a several step process. I don't have time for all that right now. So strategize your plan. Figure out how many hours in a week you have. Find out what you enjoy the most, what brings you the least amount of stress. If you have to worry about financial issues, figure out what will cost you the least or what will possibly bring in the most. So for instance, even though I would like to work on the opera, I'm not going to work on it full time now unless I'm able to get funding for it up front. If I have to wait on the back end, it's going to have to take a back burner to other projects. I know writing books makes some money. It's not a ton of money, but it does make some money. So monetarily speaking, that would be a good pursuit. And I have, besides my novel, I have sketches for about 3 or 4 nonfiction books as well. But right now I'm just working on finishing up this short film and focusing on my newborn, obviously. And then I have a young child as well. Third, economize your time. For instance, I am doing everything possible to try to make it that when I have to create content, when I have to create a project, when I have to do something, that I economize the time that I have. I don't waste it. So for instance, you might notice that unlike many of other YouTubers, I don't really have a high production quality right now. I'm slowly working on it, but obviously no makeup this morning, probably never. I've got a new baby. There's just no way the makeup thing's happening. The lighting is not great. Obviously I went ahead and, I quickly printed this up for you guys. So right now that's where I am. Why? Because while I enjoy doing YouTube videos, it's not a priority right now. I just want to kind of get stuff out there and reach fans with some ideas, because a lot of you guys are artists yourselves or musicians yourselves or know someone that is. And a lot of people just ask me, how do you do what you do? And I thought, well, this might be a good chance to do this. However, I have to do this quickly. So it's unscripted. It's entirely improv. Of course, I've written about this topic for years and years. So it's all up here. And I teach on this topic as well for years and years. So it's all up here. So really, I don't have to sit down and write all this out for you guys. I can just give you guys the basics and hopefully you guys can run with it. So that's how I economize my time. It would take me a good half an hour to 45 minutes, maybe even an hour, to set up the perfect setup with the right lighting and the right camera and the right sound and everything. For example, I have my dishwasher going on in the back, as well as Native American flute music to soothe my child who is sleeping and hopefully will stay sleeping for at least 2 more minutes. So it's things like that. It's taking that 1 or 2 hours that you might have free, and instead of spending it on Facebook, or even putting makeup on, or some sort of activity like arguing on Facebook, which seems to be something that took too much of my time last year, or watching a TV program. Instead of doing that, shut off a TV, anything unnecessary, turn off the social media, and pull out a sketchbook and just write. I have sketchbooks everywhere that just have random pieces of music, and notes for all kinds of different things. This is my current sketchbook. It says freak. And inside there I have, different plot lines for some of my other projects that I'm going to do. Some of these, like this one, is the one for the short film that I just finished. And some of these just may never, ever happen. So, some more. So have something like this, close by, handy at all times. Have one that's small enough to fit on your person or in your purse. And just write stuff down. When you get the idea, write it down. If you have an idea for a song, if you have a smartphone, just record it that instant. It doesn't matter if you sound great or not. Just do that instance. if you're a filmmaker, have your camera with you, or not your full camera, but at least have a camera with you. So at the very least, if you get a cool idea, you can kind of shoot it or whatever and get ideas for later. And also, because so much of filmmaking today is online, a lot of times you can get away with, maybe something that's not as great quality, but it goes viral because it's just incredible, whatever it is. Of course, nowadays people like cute pets and craziness like that. So, hey, keep your camera on you. And if you're into that kind of thing, you never know what you're going to catch. Anyway, so economize your time. Try not to waste it. If you want to, make a schedule, which I did for myself, where, I know every day there's a potential 1 hour to 3 hours that I have free. And I say free because, like I said, I have a young daughter and I have a newborn. So a lot of times that time is eaten up because they don't keep to my schedule, obviously. Anyway, I hope some of this was very helpful to you. And thank you so much for listening. If you like these kind of videos, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe. And you can follow me on Twitter at the Latin Diva. And I have 2 other websites here. This one is my blog, has more information about being a musician, being a filmmaker. And then this is just my basic online portfolio at Sabrina Pena Young at wordpress.wordpress.com. And thank you so much for listening. I hope this was helpful. All right, take care and be creative. Bye. Oops, wrong button.